Hey guys, welcome to the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. We are here because we want to talk about women's mental health, women's health generally, and how strength training is an integral part of maintaining your mental health and living a very wholesome life. I am joined today by Fiona Chalmers. She is a very long time client of Freeform Fitness in the Glebe. And from what I know, we will definitely find that out more today. She has been a very consistent client and has had such a great experience with the mental health benefits of strength training. She's obviously going to tell you more than I will, but I want to welcome her here today. And we're going to kick it off by just talking about how long she's been at Freeform Fitness for and what that journey has been like so far. And I'll let her kick it off.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So how long I've been at Freeform Fitness? As of last January, it was 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful place. It's not like going to the big box gyms. It's everyday people there. Not your big bodybuilders who can make you self-conscious or are grunting or staring in mirrors. In fact, the average age of clients at Freeform ranges from 35 to 55. But there are all age ranges there, from like teenagers who are training for sports up until, senior citizens in their 70s and 80s, because strength training is so important, especially as you're getting older.
Mm-hmm. It's so true, actually. My youngest client right now is 9, and my oldest is pushing 80. I don't know the exact number, but it's true. It's for everyone. But 10 years, decade, very, very long time. Tell me a little bit about why you wanted to start personal training in the first place. Why get help?
In my younger years, I was always fit in fitness classes. Like in the 80s and 90s, I did aquafit like everybody else, aerobics classes. I did Tai Chi for a while. I did end up in a car accident and got very sick a couple of years later. So I had to walk away from any kind of heavy-duty physical fitness. But while I was dealing with like a hyperactive thyroid, I got into yoga in order to keep something going. Mm-hmm. So I actually started with personal training in 2013. I had gone into remission in 2012, and I had to go take classes from the city of yoga. And
Sorry, from the hyperthyroidism, you mean?
Yeah.
You got into remission? Okay.
Yeah. I had to go take classes from the city to prove to my doctor I could handle it. Because when your heart beats way too fast, you can't be training hard. I proved I could do that. So I got permission in 2013 to join a gym. And I joined a big box gym because there was a promotion outside my grocery store.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And I started to really enjoy it. Like, the promotion was to try personal training. And I thought, yeah, some guidance would be good. By then I was in my 40s, and things are starting to hurt, and you need some help with what are the best exercises to do and what not to do. So I went from the big box gym where you've got all the big bodybuilders around you, which is very intimidating, to Freeform Fitness where it's everyday people. And I forget where I was going with that.
No, that's okay. I was just asking about why do personal training in the first place? Like, what was pushing you to get help for working out? Why not just do it on your own?
As a promotion, but it's getting the guidance that you need. It doesn't matter how much you read online. You need a professional with you. But as somebody who also suffers from clinical depression and an anxiety disorder, having a personal trainer, there's somebody there waiting for you. You've made an appointment that you've paid for. So you have to go. So that's where it helps partly for your mental health, because if you just have a gym membership, it takes a lot to force yourself out the door to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then if you're surrounded by people, because everybody compares themselves to other people. If you're surrounded by people who are lifting more than you get very intimidated. You're not going to want to go anymore. And big box gyms can be very intimidating to the average person.
Yeah.
Because of the bodybuilding and now all of the people photographing themselves, filming themselves.
It's definitely a new era.
You don't want to be in those films. I mean,
Right.
I think more people would go to the gym if they ended the use of filming in a gym.
Yeah. So it sounds like the privacy.
It's privacy.
Is important to you.
It's not being, it's being self-conscious, actually. So like when I was younger and a part of a gym, I was very self-conscious. So I bought the biggest men's t-shirts I could find to work out in so that nobody could see what I looked like. And I was a stick back then.
Yeah.
But at Freeform Fitness, you don't have to feel self-conscious because it's, like I said, it's everyday people. Everybody just wants to get fit. The only person you have to compare yourself to is you. You know, you're focusing on your own goals. Don't worry about the people around you. And you'll hear the same if you go to a yoga class. Don't look at the other people. Don't compare yourself to them.
Yeah.
Focus on you. So you focus on your own goals. And maybe that day it's adding 5 extra pounds to a barbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
you know what? Even if it's 5 pounds, you won't be saying, oh, it's only 5 pounds. It's 5 pounds.
Oh, 5 pounds can feel like a lot. 5 pounds can be insane.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. You said something that sort of sparked my interest. You were talking about wearing a t-shirt, like wearing a huge t-shirt and just feeling super self-conscious. What was the original motivation for personal training beyond, just having some activity? Because you mentioned that you were active, you did aquafit, you did all these other things. Like, were you trying to get stronger? What was the goal in the beginning? Like, were you
It was
just
staying fit. I mean, even when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I was weightlifting in high school, running. I was always somebody who was just, into being healthy. I had
Yeah.
enough unhealthy people around me to want to be healthy. Watching family members age and thinking, I want to be more active than that. Whereas, I look at my dad, he's been super active his whole life.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a motivator right there.
For sure.
I see he's 87 and still walking, riding his bike. He's doing Tai Chi, and it's like, yeah, I want to be like that. I don't want to be, a mess sitting in a wheelchair by a window or not living independently. I want to be as independent as possible. For as long as possible.
So it sounds like you had a lot of ideas about longevity and staying fit and a very physical foundation. Like,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that your body is working, that you're strong, that you stay fit, and that you are more mobile than some family members were. Where did the anxiety and the depression come in? Like, what was the motivation there? How did you...
Depression, I found out when I was 21. I'd actually been suffering from depression since about the age of 3. I've had clinical depression my whole life. There's some unfortunate family events that led to that and are still there. Anxiety kind of comes with it sometimes. They're not sure if the anxiety came with the depression or if it came with the hyperactive thyroid, which is Graves' disease. Like, it doesn't matter. I've got anxiety. And these are opposing mental health conditions.
Yeah.
So depression, when you wake up in the morning, depression says, stay in bed. Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere. But your anxiety says, you got to get up. You're going to get fired. Like, so
Right.
There's a battle every morning.
Yeah.
I got into personal training more at first for needing some assistance because of the injuries I'd had, especially being in a car accident, destroyed my knee. Back problems. So, I was in my 40s when I started personal training. And, I was at a point in life where it was like, what, I need some guidance. I need some help. And if I do want to start lifting heavy, I need somebody to be spotting me. Because, lifting free weights on your own, if you're going to lift really heavy, can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But then I realized the mental health aspect of it as well. Once I got into personal training, I realized I have that appointment I have to go to. So it made me go to the gym rather than sit like a lump on the couch and watch a movie, because it's easy to decide I'm just gonna disappear into a movie and leave the world, keep it outside.
Yeah. Which is so much easier now.
And if you have that appointment, you're going to the gym, you feel good because you got your blood pumping. I think there's some natural like endorphin release from doing your exercise, but you feel good because you did something good for you.
Right.
So you can see it as a form of self-care. But as we get older, I'm going to say I'm 56 years old. I was 50 when I got diagnosed with osteoporosis. I had fallen. I broke my wrist. They send you off to bone density scan, and voila, life changes.
There you go.
Because honestly, up until then, I was powerlifting.
Yeah. You were a power lifter.
Yeah, which people don't. Some people don't realize what powerlifting it is. Not bodybuilding. It's just increasing your strength.
Yeah.
Your only competition is you. I mean, some people get into powerlifting competitions. I was not there.
You were not there.
No, my knees were never going to let me do a legal lift, but I was more in competition with myself.
Right.
How much can I lift? So I was working to heavier and heavier and heavier. And then I had something, I was really proud of it.
Right.
Can't power lift anymore because of the osteoporosis, but I'm still lifting and working my way back up to lifting heavier. Following, like, it was a shoulder injury last summer.
Right.
So I'll say working with your personal trainer, like, it keeps you motivated. You need to go, like, you've got to go to that appointment, but it's somebody to talk to, your personal trainer, like, especially at Freeform, personal trainers really do care.
We do.
They'll talk to you. I mean, I know a lot about my trainer's life, and he knows a lot about mine. It's like women going to their hairdresser. How many of us have a hairstylist that we've had? Like, I've had mine for over 20 years.
Yeah, you share everything.
You tend to share with your personal trainer as well because you're one-on-one. You're close. You're in close contact. You're seeing each other every week, maybe multiple times a week. I mean, pre-COVID, I was at the gym 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, that changed a bit.
Yeah.
And because my trainer had a young child, so his hours of work changed.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I adapted for that. But your personal trainer will also help you work through your injuries, get past them. Like I said, I hurt my shoulder last summer. My chiropractor said you're in danger of your shoulder freezing. I had hyperextended my shoulder and took an impact to the bicep. And I went to my trainer, Pat, and said, he's told me my shoulder could freeze. No, I don't want this. And so he adjusted our routine around that.
Yeah.
Let's get that moving. And like I said, I got the osteoporosis from a fall on the ice. Well, I didn't just fall. I ended up with sciatica and a broken wrist. We worked through the sciatica. He's taught me exercises to heal that sciatica and stave it off from reoccurring, So at Freeform Fitness, you're not getting some kid who just got his personal training certificate. You're getting people who actually know what they're doing.
Right.
They have the experience. Mm-hmm. They care about you.
I feel like it's a huge part of it too is, you could go to the doctor and get some sort of diagnosis or prognosis and feel like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Like, I'm going to get a frozen shoulder, right? Like, if you were dealing with that alone, it would have been way scarier. But, having a personal trainer, having someone who can guide you through, and someone who's probably been through injury before, which I know Pat has, it will give you that boost to be like, okay, wait, no, I can get through this. I can work through this. This isn't the end of the world, right? Because so many people fall into injury and then it becomes, strength training is very dangerous. It's very bad for you. You shouldn't deadlift anymore. You shouldn't be lifting heavy things anymore because you can get injured. You just have to be, relegated to light weights and high reps for the rest of your life, right? Like, you are so much more resilient than that. And just having someone to guide you through that, who has been through injury, who can be a sounding board for you, who can, give you that instrumental support when you're actually going through it. So, saying, yeah, if it hurts this way, then maybe try this way.
Mm-hmm.
But then also just having someone to talk to through all of that. I think it's so...
They also motivate you through your pain.
Yeah.
And people hear the word pain and they go, oh my goodness. No, there's different levels of pain. You need to know good pain versus bad pain, but also levels of pain. Because if your pain's between 0 and 2, and you can read about this, between 0 and 2, keep going. Work through it. Just keep going. If it starts to increase, okay, maybe you need to back off on some of that weight. If it's up in the 8 to 10 range, stop. Something's gone wrong.
Exactly.
And your trainer knows as well. You got to trust your trainer. I mean, Pat's asked me especially when we're fresh off an injury, and as you get older, you injure yourself more. He'll ask me, "What's your pain level?" And he'll adjust accordingly.
Which also teaches you how to dial in your training and how to auto-regulate your own training, right? Like you now know that if you were on your own or if you were doing independent training, that if you have that, spectrum or that grade of pain, you can make decisions and adjust accordingly, right? Like it's not just Pat telling you what to do or any trainer telling you what to do, right? Like you're in a little bit of pain, let's keep going. Or you're, no matter what the pain is, like now you know that you can make the decision. Pat's just guiding you along.
Yep.
Right? It's empowering you to find that self-trust and that empowerment instead of, being beholden to all the decisions that he makes, right? Like, okay, no, you need to lift heavy today. We have this on the schedule. You need to do that, right? Yeah. No, it's like, okay, where are you at?
Yeah.
And then you make the final decision. It's not about, boss and...
Yeah. And he asks me. We do what's called goblet squats. And he'll ask me, where do you want to start at? Do you want to start at 40 or 45 this week? That's just this past weekend. And I'll be like, you know what? Feeling my back a little bit. Let's start at 40 and see if we can go to 45.
Yeah.
And that's great. And you need to have the trust in your trainer. And they trust you to make those decisions. You have to have a good relationship and to have those conversations.
Yeah.
But your trainer is also your cheerleader.
Yeah.
So when you make that extra 5 pounds on your barbell, you'll probably be getting a high five.
For sure. As you should. Par for the course. I want to transition a bit.
Yep.
What do you wish more people knew about mental health specifically and strength training? Like, what has been your personal journey with that? And
I think, first of all, there's a lot out there. Need to end the stigma. And 2 weeks ago, it was a National Mental Health Week. Every January, everybody knows we have Bell Let's Talk Day. Need to end the stigma. But there needs to be a little bit more out there about the physical fitness really helps with your mental health. Like it's not just the release of the endorphins. It's having a routine.
Yes.
And the feeling that comes with feeling better.
Yeah.
Because if you sit on that couch like a lump, and especially when you're older like me, it's going to hurt to stand up if you've been sitting on that couch for 3 hours to watch a movie.
Yeah.
If you're starting to feel fit, if you've got energy, you're more apt to get up and move around and do something rather than let the depression overtake you. I mean, sometimes that's needed. You have to have days where it's just, it's coming on and just let it happen because you'll get through it. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the train coming the other way. So I'd say to anybody who's having mental health issues, try fitness because it is a routine, and routine helps with mental health.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It gives you that predictability of what you're doing in your week, and then you can, fill in the gaps elsewhere. But gives you the strength to broaden your horizons and broaden the things that you do, right? Like if you are feeling depressed, you're feeling like a lump on the couch, you feel like you can't do anything, like maybe think about your capacity, your competence. Not to say that like anyone struggling with mental health issues are lacking in competence. It's to say that, there is a bit of a cycle of, poor mental health and then low self-esteem. And then, you take yourself out of opportunities that would otherwise push you along or help you build self-esteem, right? So it's this negative feedback loop of, I can't do this thing because I don't have the capacity to, I'm incompetent. So I shouldn't do this thing. I shouldn't try this thing. Hey, guess what? You're going to get weaker. You're going to get less capable of doing that thing. And that's a
endless
feedback.
loop.
Yeah, endless loop. And it keeps going, right? So I think, and it's so easy to disrupt. You just start, just do something.
It's also
right?
easy to make excuses.
Yeah, it is.
So you know what, the advice I can give everybody is try it. And if your trainer says, hey, do you want to try something new? Try it.
Try it.
If you don't
Thank
like
you.
it.
I'm going to record that and I'm going to give that to my clients.
If you don't like it, that's fine. At least you tried.
Just try it. Right, because you're not marrying it. You don't have to do it forever. Just try 1 rep, try 5 reps, whatever it is.
And if you don't like the exercise, if it really turns you off, that's okay. Let your trainer know. You'll come up with something else.
Now you know. Exactly. No, that is so true.
But you got to treat, like, using fitness for your mental health is also a massive form of self-care. And self-care is so important when it comes to mental health. And unfortunately, people don't realize that. I've got people around me who don't understand when I say, I need to be alone. I'm a huge introvert. I recharge by being alone. And I'll say, just, I need to be alone this weekend. Like, leave me alone. Many don't understand, but there are a few very close to me who understand I have depression, I have anxiety. When I say, just leave me alone, they let me go. And I might get a text saying, how you doing?
Yeah.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
And that means the world too, to have people reach out and say, you doing okay?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But you know what's great about that too is you have the flexibility to take that alone time. But at the end of the day, we do know that we are social animals. And then when you have that accountability with trainer, for example, like, hey, this is a non-negotiable. This is the place where I'm going to show up. And you get that human connection. Maybe you get that ability to share what you're going through and then actually work through it, right? Like, get out of your mind and get into your body, which is so powerful.
And your trainer will help you. I mean, especially at Freeform, because like I said, they're trainers that care at Freeform. And they do. I mean, honestly, I've had much more caring trainers than people I've encountered outside, like in the big box gyms and whatnot. I walked in one day, I was on the verge of an anxiety attack because there was an unplanned parade downtown. I couldn't find parking, streets were blocked, and the anxiety just started to rise. And I did manage to find parking, and I walked in and I was vibrating, like literally vibrating. And Patrick just said, okay, let's just take a couple of deep breaths and then we're going to get into it. But he adjusted the routine because I was up here, like on the vibration level, to just help bring all of that adrenaline down a bit. But he knew what to do. To just, let's calm that down. Let's get this into the exercise. Let's get into the routine. And within a few minutes, I was calming down back into a normal level from being on the edge of a pretty major anxiety attack. So
which is also helping you with the skill of knowing that just because you're having a bad day, just because something's happening, just because
you don't have to hide.
You don't have to hide, but also like you can still show up and give what you have that day, right? Like you don't always have to go 100%. I myself used to be stuck in a cycle of, okay, like I can't get a super good workout in today, so I'm just not going to go. But that just pushes what you could have done that day. And then, you could come back the next day. I have a little saying. It's, a little, a lot is better than a lot, a little.
Yep.
Right? Like you want to have little deposits.
Yep.
It's like investments, right? Little deposits every day, every other day, 3 times a week, 2 times a week, whatever you want, whatever works for your schedule, whatever you can accommodate. But the more you show up, the more you show up.
Yep.
It's a feedback loop, and it's an investment loop that only continues to grow. The more that you reinforce that pattern, right? Like then it becomes habit, and you don't have to think about it, and then it just becomes lifestyle.
Yeah. Like if you don't have time for a full workout, that's okay. Maybe I only have time to do legs. Maybe I only have time to lift a couple of weights.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm at home. I'm really all I have time to do is run up and down the stairs a couple of times. Be forgiving to yourself. If that's all you manage is running up and down the stairs a couple of times, that's okay. You did something.
But also
got
push
up.
yourself, because maybe you can do the stairs one more time.
Do it one more time, but don't let time be an excuse.
Yeah.
As you get older, weather's a problem. I have osteoporosis.
100%.
Going for a walk out in the winter is now a little bit risky.
Scary.
So I do use the stairs in the house. And I look at the fact, hey, Sunday's laundry day. I got to go from the second floor all the way down to the basement, and I'm going to do that several times.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I didn't get any exercise on Sunday. I did. I just did it doing housework.
Very true. And then also, like, it's funny because the stronger you are and the more empowered you are and the more that you move, the less that you'll have those conscious thoughts about the things that you do, because you'll just be doing them, right?
Just do them.
It's like you don't have to think about winter as much because, hey, you can walk, you know that you're strong. It's just not a thought that's going to come to you because the risk is lower. Risk obviously is there still with older bodies,
I'm
but
making adjustments in my home because I'm aging. I'm making adjustments in my home so that this coming winter, I will have a spot in my house to do yoga.
yeah.
Gentle stretching exercise. Yoga is good for balance, strength,
Stress relief.
stress relief. Yeah, all of that. So that'll be married with my personal training.
Complimentary for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. I want to know what you think the fitness or wellness industry gets wrong about health, wellness, personal training, strength training in general. Like, what do you think is the problem with the
Okay.
health and fitness
Let's
industry?
start with the pictures they show of healthy people.
Oh, okay. Hot take.
Most of these people are bodybuilders. And then that you find young people striving to be bodybuilder. I want all my muscles to show. What they don't realize is how unhealthy the steps are to make that happen.
Can be.
Building up your body healthy. But before a competition, they go through a very serious dehydration phase to make sure all those muscles show. And then you're spraying yourself in a chemical to look tanned. So I think that we need to start with the image of a healthy person. What is fit? Well, if fit isn't an exposed six-pack and biceps the size of your head.
Necessarily.
Yeah. I think we need to show more everyday people what they look like fit. A family going for a hike.
Yeah.
We need to get away from or get away from the whole bodybuilding is totally fit.
Is the prime.
Because then if you can't make it there, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can look like that. You don't have to have a flat stomach. You don't have to have a six-pack to be fit. So I think we need to put out more out there so that people can be more forgiving with themselves and not lose self-esteem because they can't get a defined bicep. Maybe you're not built that way. Genetics comes into play a lot.
It does, for sure. I think like a big part of this is, just runaway standards and we're living in an influencer era and we're bombarded by, media of beautiful people all the time.
Yeah. So we need to get away from that and show that, you know what, we're all beautiful. Every single person out there is beautiful in their own way. So we need to change what the beauty standard is and what the fitness standard is. Let's take it down to regular people who are fit. And you can be skinny fat. People don't realize that. I mean,
That is
it's
very
not
much a
all
thing.
about standing on the scale.
Yeah.
It's your body fat percentage, your body
Composition.
mass index. There's all of that. If you're basing it all on standing on the scale, you could be trying to get fit and you're weightlifting and you're realizing the scale's going up because muscle mass weighs more than fat.
Yes. I think.
So you could be chastising yourself for gaining weight when you shouldn't be because you actually lost fat.
Right. It's also this perfectionism mindset of like, okay, just because bodybuilders look as ripped and jacked as they do, this means that I shouldn't be lifting weights because I'll never get there, right? It's like there's so much utility in building muscle and strength beyond what you're going to look like, right? Like you mentioned that you have osteoporosis and you would not believe how many consults I have with people who come in who are actually relatively active all their lives, but still come in with osteoporosis. Like there's obviously other metabolic conditions and nutritional components to that are independent of their strength and their exposure to strength training. But there's no denying in the research now that it's important and supportive of healthy bones.
Weight-bearing exercise is very, very important, and they see that more and more. Fitness, more and more important. I mean, diabetes is rampant out there. And you know what? You don't have to be morbidly obese to have diabetes. If you got a tiny little spare tire, you could end up with diabetes.
That is very true.
Even in the medical field, if somebody's having a hip replacement or a knee replacement, they're not in bed for a week anymore. They get them standing up the next day.
Yeah.
Because the movement is so important.
It is medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, what is one practice, mindset, or habit that you personally swear by? Like beyond, it doesn't need to be personal training, it doesn't need to be strength training. What do you need or what do you feel like is necessary for your personal health and wellness?
I'd say it's my need for quiet time. Time away. We live in a world today where, I mean, at any one time, 25% of the population has some form of mental illness. Mental illness isn't always permanent. Sometimes it is. In my case, it is. And COVID increased that exponentially. We all went into lockdown. We were alone. They had a rule for bubbles because single people needed to be part of the social group. We were social animals. And I could say as somebody who was in a bubble by myself, it was very, very hard. We came out of COVID. We're back in the workplace. We're back seeing people again and realizing, oh, this is wonderful. But now we have a new threat south of the border. We got a threat through our sovereignty. And if you talk to enough people, you find mental health is now on a decline again because of the threats and our inability to control those threats. Just like we couldn't control the virus, we can't control the threat to our sovereignty. So mental health is on the rise.
Yeah, for sure. And, just taking time, taking pause to think about what it is you want, what your goals are, what is important to you. I think
take a break from the news.
Yeah. COVID definitely rewired a lot of people's brains and made people think more deeply about what's important to them and where their priorities are, which is a good thing for sure. But it's also made, at least I find, I don't know if you've seen this, but I feel like things are so busy. I think, with obviously the state of the world and inflation, everyone's always busy. There's always something going on. There's always something to do. There's something to worry about, right? So I think, taking a step back and being quiet and recentering with your goals and what you want is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
What do you have if you don't do that? Like,
Make little
where do you
rules
even
for
start?
yourself. I started to tell people to take news breaks during COVID because all we were getting was numbers, statistics, and how many did. Take news breaks now. My weekends are news free. No news on the weekend because it's too much.
Yeah.
I'll tape my programs that I want to see. Tape. I'm showing my age by saying tape.
Tape. Oh my gosh.
That way I can in the evening, I don't know what the word, I'm losing my words again. I watch my programs in the evening. I can skip over the commercials because especially when we were in the election, they were all political and it was all bashing. So you can take a break by recording your show, skip all the commercials and news breaks and escape into that show because your workday is long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you might be, I know I've got a long drive in the morning. I listen to CBC in the morning because it gives me the best traffic report. But I'm getting all the news, and there's a lot of political news, and we're listening to news about war. We've got people starving to death in the Gaza Strip, looking at 14,000 children at death's door right now.
Right.
And you've got to take a break from that.
Take a break. Have a Kit Kat.
No, you shouldn't be eating a Kit Kat.
No Kit Kat.
Unless it's a little mini.
It's true.
But yeah, it's okay. You have to give yourself permission to take time out.
Yeah.
And if you need to take time out from family, take time out from family. If you need to take time out from friends, take time out from friends. It is okay to spend time by yourself and recharge. And it's okay to take charge and tell people, leave me alone, which is something I only just learned recently. Actually, during COVID, I started to say, leave me alone. I just need to be alone, and I need you to respect that.
So fair.
Rather than, oh, we need you here, we need you there, we need you to do this, we need, just,
yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough to live alone, so I can get time alone, and just tell people, just don't call, don't expect answers to emails. But, even if you're living with people, you can say, like, even if you're a parent, you can say to your children, mommy or daddy, I just need, just needs a little quiet time. And you could set a timer and say, okay, mommy's going into this room to read for an hour. Please don't come to me unless it's an emergency until the timer goes off. Take the time. Like you have to not make excuses for not taking time for yourself.
Yeah. So true. That is actually a great way to finish. It's so true because the investments that you make in yourself, time-wise, physical, mental, nutritional, those will compound, and it's an investment.
Personal training is an investment in yourself and your future.
100%.
So, a lot of people won't get into it because they're like, oh, it's expensive. Well, what can you give up in life to afford personal training? I don't have all the latest tech gadgets. I don't need them.
What is the cost of immobility? What is the cost of lack of confidence? What is the cost of lack of energy?
What's the cost of having to spend your final years in a home?
There you go. You heard it here first. Thank you so much for coming on, Fiona. This was a great conversation. Everybody stay tuned for more episodes. Next up, we're going to have Sarah Smith, and she's going to be talking about holistic nutrition. Thank you so much again for tuning in. This is Personal Trainers Who Care. See you next time.